this is how Mighty Morphin ends on a weird 10-episode miniseries / season. Well, let's dive into it. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Animation Station, and I want to start this with anything and everything in animation, as well as live action every now and then. In this case, the Power Rangers. Last time we took a look at Mighty Morphin, which took a little bit, but it's doing pretty good in the views, so I'm going to keep this going. With Alien Rangers, and this one's going to be far, far shorter than the Mighty Morphin mega review I just did yesterday. So don't worry, this one's not going to be half an hour to an hour long. So let's just dive right in. Alien Rangers, a lot of people like to just not count it as its own season because it's only 10 episodes and it leads into the end of Mighty Morphin. But here's my argument. A, there's already 3 seasons. So there's already 3 seasons, that's enough for that. And B, because there's technically a whole new team of Rangers that are called in by Zordon after the actual Rangers are turned into kids. So yeah, anytime there's a whole new team of Rangers, I'm counting it as its own season, no matter how many friggin' episodes there may be. So, with all that said, let's talk about the Alien Rangers. We'll start with the cast, like we always do. Starting with the main Rangers, we have Corcus, who's played by Adam Palmer. Sestro, played by Kareem Prince. I think it's Kareem. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Then there's Tidius, the Yellow Ranger, played by Jim Gray. Delphine, the White Ranger, played by Raja Barudi. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. And last but not least, there's Orico, the Red Ranger, played by David Bacon. And then, of course, you still have your Mighty Morphin Rangers because they do end up getting turned back just in time for the finale of Mighty Morphin, which is in this as the second part of that 2-part episode. So you still have Kat, you still have Aisha, you still have Adam, Billy, Rocky, Tommy. You still have those guys. But in this season, you also have the kid versions of them as we move into the supporting cast. We have Kid Catherine, played by Julia Jordan, Kid Aisha, played by Cicely Johnson, Kid Adam, played by Matthew Sakimoto, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Kid Billy, played by Justin Timsit, Kid Rocky, played by Michael Olasky, and Kid Jason, played by Michael R. Gatto, with very long hair, just like his grown-up counterpart. And then there's also Kid Bulk and Kid Skull, played by Cody Slayton and Ross J. Samia. And then you still have Zordon, played by David J. Fielding, Alpha by Richard Stephen Horvitz. And then some new characters in here. You also have Tanya, the Ranger who ends up replacing Aisha, played by Nakia Burris, and Kid Tanya, played by Julia Jordan. Because you get to see adult Tanya at the end of this when it leads into the finale of Mighty Morphin, which I'll get it more into later. And then, of course, you still have normal Bulk and Skull when they get changed back, played by Paul Schreier and Jason Narby, respectively. And then the villains, they're all the same. Like, you still have Rita, you still have Zed, you still got Rito, you still have Goldor. But this is when Rito and Goldor kind of just became jokes, because they lost their memory and they, are pretty much at the whim of Bulk and Skull for most of this season. So, yeah, bit sad, but that's how it is. And then there's also Finster, who's voiced by Robert Axelrod. I don't remember whether or not I threw him in the Mighty Morphin Mega review, so I'm going to mention him here. And there's Master Vile, played by Simon Prescott. Moving on to the weapons. Unfortunately, these Rangers don't have any weapons specific to them, so they just have universal weapons. The Equation Saber, which is what they're holding in this picture. The Equation Laser, which is what they call their blaster. And the Equation Fist. I don't even remember what that is, so yeah, that's there. And then for the Zords, this is also pretty easy, because it's just Battle Borgs, like 5 different Battle Borgs of each color. And no, it's not like the Battle Borgs other series. They're just called Battle Borgs for for some reason. And then, of course, they have, like, you have the red one, the right one, the red one, the white one, the blue one, etc., etc. And then you also, towards the end of this season, you have the Shogun Zords, which are pretty much the same thing, but they're still pretty cool. And then the only Megazord you get in this season is the Shogun Mega Falcon Zord. That's the only Megazord you get in this season, because like I said, only 10 episodes. And then the Ranger colors, you still have red, blue, and yellow, and black. But new here, you have white instead of pink, which is interesting. Not to mention, this is the first male Yellow Ranger, and I believe the first female White Ranger, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we're through all the basic information, now let's talk about my overall thoughts. It's a fascinating anomaly. Starting with the costumes. The costumes, I personally think, are pretty cool. Definitely have a very ninja aesthetic, and it's very unique, especially with the very unique lightning bolt going across the one shoulder, but it still looks cool. They're still very universal, and there's not really much differentiation between them, though I do like with the Black Ranger, they made his lightning bolt white to stand out from his costume. And then they also have the black and white, a big black stripe around a white cusp on their gauntlets and their knee pads. And then the boots are generic, so. The designs are fine. I like the ninja aesthetic, but I feel like this is one of those things they go to do better later on in other seasons, a la Ninja Storm, and arguably Ninja Steel. So, yeah, these suits are fine. As for the story itself, it's weird. Why did you have to change the Rangers into kids? Why bring in this entirely other team of Rangers right when it's supposed to be the finale of your entire 3-season run, leading into your next season that's going to be completely different? Like, it's a really confusing, crazy mess. But at the same time, I can't say it isn't entertaining. Kid Bulk and Kid Skull are always funny, and then of course you have the normal Bulk and Skull, who are always funny. The Equation Rangers themselves are definitely fascinating. I do like how they try to do a bit more world building by bringing in this new team of Rangers from another planet. It's just that thing they have on their voice that just gets a little bit irritating. Especially when it's all 5 of them doing it at once. Like, I understand it because the planet's supposed to be like a water planet, but when they're out of the water under the surface, they still have that freaking thing on their voice. And when they're all speaking at once, you cannot tell if they're all speaking or if it's just one person speaking that's echoed over by that stupid sound effect. Like, seriously, I understand they had to do something different to differentiate them from the original Rangers and make them seem more alien, but that was not a good solution. The writing's fine here. I personally think that Aisha deserved a better send-off than just, I'm going to stay in this past timeline, here's this random girl that wants to become a ranger, I'm going to send back with you. That was stupid. Karen Ashley deserved way better. And Tanya isn't a bad character, I just feel like they didn't give her a whole lot to do, because most of the time it is her kid version, and we don't really get more about Tanya until Zeo, so yeah, a bit of a lost opportunity there. And sure, having these kid versions of the Rangers are fascinating, especially with some of the choices with the costume and the design, but at the same time, it's just like we're watching kids walk around. It's like every other Saturday morning show. So, yeah, it's not bad, it's just strange. But then it's made up for when they do end up becoming full-grown adults again, with the final 2-parter, which also serves as the finale of Mighty Morphin. That's going to lead directly into Zeo. So they get changed back into adults, and Aisha stays in that timeline while Tanya stays there and becomes an adult, and we see her adult form for the first time. Then it's a short-lived victory, because right as they're doing that, Goldar and Rito are planting bombs, and yeah, by this point they've regained their memory, so they plant bombs, and for the first time in the whole series, the command center is destroyed. Like, that felt like the safe haven of the Rangers, and then it's gone just like that. Like, it's effective. Like, this home of the Rangers, this safe haven that they've had for almost 3 seasons. I say almost because they did let Zed in there to do negotiations in one episode. Is now destroyed. And with it, the Ranger powers are gone too. So it's like a very hollow victory. That does lead well into Zeo, but we'll talk about tomorrow when we get to that one. So my overall final thoughts on Alien Rangers, it's fascinating. Like, it's very fascinating. Like, some of the choices they make, some of the designs they do. It's a very fascinating little anomaly, but it is an anomaly, and it's not that good. I'm not going to call it bad, because I do get some enjoyment out of it. Again, the kid versions of Bulk and Skull are still hilarious. And you still have the villains being the villains, and like I said, it ends on the actual end of Mighty Morphin for good. So, there's that. But the problem is, it just kind of felt like a desperate attempt to try and boost the ratings up. You know, having them turn the kids and having this whole new team. Like, it's weird. Not to mention, outside of one crossover episode of Zeo that we'll talk about. Sorry, I can't freaking talk today. None of the other Equation Rangers come back except for Red, and even then, that's in only one crossover episode in Wild Force. After that, he's pretty much negated to Ranger history. After that, we don't see them again, which is sad, because I feel like if they got more time with just this team and developing this team, they could have made it more interesting. But because it's only 10 episodes, and it was definitely it does feel like a desperate bid to try and keep the show going, it just didn't really quite work. Like I said, I'm not gonna call it bad, but I'm not gonna call it good either. It is definitely carried a lot by those final 2 episodes that do serve as a pretty good climax to Mighty Morphin. But outside of that, it's bizarre. It's definitely worth watching, and the DVDs are pretty cheap, so you should be able to get it pretty easily. So, I mean, for like $10-15, you can definitely spend your money on much worse than this. And much worse seasons of Rangers, too. Final verdict for the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers mini-season thing is a 6 out of 10. I put around the same thing as the movie. Speaking of the movie, I do have some corrections to make about that. The Tengas are in the movie. They're just made by Ivan Ooze instead of Zed. Rita and Zed do have a decent bit to do in the beginning, but then they get thrown off to the side. The kid, Freddy, does a lot more than I remembered him doing. And I forgot to mention the awesome skydiving scene in the beginning of the movie. I don't know why I forgot that. That thing was awesome. I don't know. It was cool. But yeah, those are the corrections to my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie review that was in the Mega review that I did yesterday. I'm saying Mighty and Morphin and Mega so many times I'm probably going to make my brain explode. So I should just stop here before I become a sputtering mess. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next true season of Power Rangers Zeo. See you then.